Hello, Barbara Ames here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the timeline generator to pick a date for your summit. So if you haven't already, download the timeline generator and open it up. It's an Excel document. If you don't have Excel, let me know in the Facebook group and I'll send you a Google Docs version. The instructions will be the same for either one. And it's also handy to have a calendar open nearby as well. Now, the timeline generator is a really neat tool that you can use to select a date for your telesummit that doesn't conflict with the rest of your busy schedule and plan your telesummit activities. Now, it doesn't make a difference what day of the week your summit starts on, so just to make it easy on yourself and your planning, let's stick to a Monday, okay? So I want you to pick any Monday that's at least 12 weeks from the start date of this course, but no more than 16 weeks, so that we're all on about the same point at the same time. And once you've picked a date and see where all the deadlines fall, you can play around with other dates until you find one that feels good, and then commit to it. So for this demonstration, since our course starts on November 2nd, we'll pick a date that's 12 weeks from the start of the course, which is January 25th. So you'll go into your timeline generator, and under week 12, you'll enter January 25th, and make sure you do 2016, and hit enter. Now, that's right under week 12, which is also cell L4. So what we're doing is going to look at where all our dates and deadlines will fall if we decided to start our timeline on the 25th. Next, we'll select the Monday before that week. So in that case, that will be the 18th, and we'll enter it under week number 11. And now is where the magic happens. Because you see, if Excel has two dates that have something in common, in this case consecutive Mondays, it can calculate all the Mondays that come before or after that date. So to do that, we'll select those two dates. We'll start by clicking and holding on the date that you entered under week 12, and we'll drag our cursor over to the date you entered under week number 11, and then we'll let go. Now that selects both of those dates. You'll know that both dates are selected when there's a red line around both of them, and you'll see a small red solid box in the bottom right-hand corner. That tells you that you have selected both of those dates. If that didn't happen and you see something else, don't worry. Just hit Command Z to undo it, or you can go up to your Edit and then Undo if you don't like the keyboard commands. So next you're going to grab that little red box by putting your cursor over it. You'll notice that it changes to a solid black line when you do. Click on it, hold, and now drag your mouse all the way across to week number 1 and let go. Now you should see all the Mondays magically appear under the weeks leading up to our selected summit start date. If that didn't happen, Command Z is our best buddy, so go back and undo it and try it again. Sometimes it just takes a couple of times to get the hang of it. All right, so now we can see where all of the important deadlines fall and how they fit in with our personal commitments and holidays. And if we find any conflicts, we'll just try another summit start date until we find a date that we're comfortable with that fits in as best as it can with the rest of our lives that we can commit to. Now, the date that we end up with is very important, and the commitment that we make to that date is even more important. Will our life get in our way? You betcha, it always does. You can count on that. And if you've ever been challenged with keeping commitments to yourself in the past, it's a pretty sure bet that life will rear its ugly head to challenge you again this time. But I want to invite you to let this time be different. I hereby grant you permission to tell those challenges to kiss your behind, that this is just 12 measly weeks out of your life, and you can roll in the mud with those challenges again once this is complete. Okay? So now let's have a look at our important dates and deadlines, starting with the important periods over here. So our first important period is our interview period. And you can see that it's a 4-week period starting in the 4th week of our timeline and continuing through the 7th week. Now, it's important to note that this period is just a guideline. It's just a starting point so that you can organize your schedule. And it's not uncommon for these interviews to continue long after this period. And you might also need to do an interview before the actual interview period starts if an expert is, say, going out of the country or has other commitments. This is just a tool so you can see where you'll need to carve additional time out of your schedule for these interviews. Now, this is also a good time to see where holidays and such fall as well. Now, in this example here, you'll notice that Christmas is at the end of our interview period. So that means that you're going to lose a couple of days of your interview period because it's not likely that anybody will want to be interviewed during that week of Christmas. So that just tells us that if you pick a start date of January 25th, that your interview period will be compressed a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's usually plenty of time to get these interviews done, but it's just something to note. Now, the next important period to look at is these two periods here, the official promo period and the promo buffer week. Now, combined, this is a 3-week period that ends the day before your summit start date. Now, I split this 3-week promo period into the official promo period and a promo buffer week because I found, especially when you're new to this, that it's not uncommon for an expert to forget to promote during that official 2-week promo period. And by having this buffer week, the week before the summit, it's not a big deal if they do. With a gentle reminder from you, they still have time a week before the summit starts to fulfill their commitment. The last important period here is when your summit actually starts. Your summit should last 10 to 14 days, and you'll be releasing between 1 and 2 interviews a day, and it can run through the weekends. Now, all of the work will be done before your summit starts. Your interviews will be pre-recorded, your daily emails delivering the interviews should be written, and your autoresponder should be set up to deliver everything automatically. So once your summit starts, boom, your work is done. You could literally go on vacation during this period, but at the very least, you should plan on a celebration because it's at this point that you will officially have your bright new shiny list of engaged followers listening intently to your interviews. Now, I know I said that you can go on vacation during this time, but truly it's ideal if you can stick around just in case there's any glitches and, more importantly, to respond to any questions or feedback from your adoring new audience as they are growing to know, like, and trust you. All right, so now let's look at your important deadlines. So the complete banner and hire an optional VA are more like target dates than deadlines. The opt-in video, opt-in sales page, and email autoresponder set up by dates are still mostly targets in that if you miss them, you're still fine, but you'll just be scrambling to catch up a little bit. Now, the promo copy written by and the promo copy to experts dates, those are deadlines. You'll be writing promotional copy that the experts will send to their list. Now, one of the keys to building trust and relationships with your experts that will turn into future collaborations is to do a really great job on this summit by anticipating their needs and make everything as easy as possible for them to participate in your event. You want to come off looking like a real professional on this. And one of the ways that you can do that is to write the promo copy for them. We also make it clear to them that they can use their own copy if they prefer, or they can edit our copy, but we just want to make it as easy as possible for them. And I find that typically they just use what we write. So to keep your part of the commitment, you'll want to get your copy written and to the experts 1 week before the official promo period starts, which is the date represented here. All right, so now that you see where all your dates and deadlines fall, you can go back to your hypothetical date and play with some other dates by following the same process. Type in another 2 dates, extend the dates backwards through time, and see how that feels. Play with your summit start date until you find a date that feels right and that you can commit to. Then don't forget to put those dates and deadlines in your calendar. All right, and lastly, this timeline generator also outlines all the various activities that you'll be engaged in the various weeks. So if you go down to the bottom and look at the tabs across the bottom, each one of these is for a different week of the timeline. So the first tab after our timeline is before week 1. This is if you pick a start date for your summit where week 1 of the timeline is in the future. So these are some of the things that you can do and ponder to prepare. And of course, you can always dive into any of the activities outlined in the next tab, which is weeks 1 through 3, before the official start date of your timeline. In fact, I would encourage you to do that. So looking at weeks 1 through 3, you'll see the activities broken down into research activities, outreach, relationship, graphics, and hiring a VA. So you'll also, in column C, notice that anything that has a deadline is listed there, so you can prioritize your activities. So columns D through F is referencing the different modules in your success guide for each activity and what pages you will find those references on. Well, that's about it for your timeline generator. Have fun noodling around with it, refer back to it often, and keep it in a safe place to use for planning future telesummits. I think you'll find this to be a very invaluable tool. So if you have any questions, post them in Facebook. And if you have an answer to somebody's question that you see in Facebook, go ahead and respond to it. So, ciao for now.